Okay, this is an example from 3.5. Again, just like in the last section, we're maximizing functions, or minimizing, in this case maximizing. But the only difference here really in this problem is that the application is something, kind of a little bit different. Instead of talking about these different problems with area and volume and so forth, we're dealing with maximizing profit in this case, or revenue and costs, which make up profit. But in number 19, the example I want to work now, they talk about maximizing profit. So first of all, what is profit? Well, it's the difference of two things. The profit a company makes is the revenue, that's the amount of money they bring in, minus the cost, which is the amount of money they spend out. Okay. So in most of these problems, X, the variable, represents the number of units the company is either producing or ordering or whatever. Okay, so in 19, let's go ahead and read the problem now. They say the cost per unit of producing a particular type of digital audio player is $60. Okay. The manufacturer charges $90 per unit on orders for orders of 100 or less. To encourage large orders, however, the manufacturer reduces the charge by 10 cents per player for each order in excess of 100 units. Okay. For instance, an order of 101 players would be $89.90 per player, 102 players would be $89.80 per player, and so on. They say find the largest order the manufacturer should allow to obtain a maximum profit. So you can read this problem as they're trying to figure out what order size makes them the most profit. Okay. So profit is in general revenue minus cost, but you'll notice that in a lot of our problems we write revenue as two other things multiplied together. It's the number of units either produced or in this case ordered, okay, times the price per unit. Okay. So this is basically going to give us the total amount that the company makes from selling these units. Okay. How many units are they selling, and how much do they sell those units for? That's little p of x. It's called the price function. Okay. So big P is profit. So what do we know here for this problem? Okay. Well, we actually know quite a bit here. The profit is the revenue. Okay, revenue minus cost. Well, to figure out how much money they make, we take the number of players they order. Okay, and in order, so X is the number of players, these digital audio players, in an order. Okay, that's what's clear in our problem. It's always the number of units of whatever we're talking about. We have to multiply it by the price that the business is charging per unit it sells. Now this is a little bit tricky. Okay, and it's probably the toughest part of the setup here. They say that the price they sell them for is $90. However, they reduce the price 10 cents for each order in excess of 100. So the price we charge per unit is going to be $90, okay, minus 10 cents times 100 minus X. Okay. Seems kind of complicated, but look at where this formula comes from. How much do we charge? Okay, basically $90. However, whatever they sell in excess of 100, no, sorry, this should be X minus 100 here. Okay. Right, if I sell anything more than 100, I subtract 100 from that, and for each additional unit beyond 100 I get, I'm subtracting 10 cents. Okay, so it's, other ways you could go about it, but obviously this formula is only valid if we sell over 100 units, okay, which is pretty much okay just to analyze that situation. Of course, the business for less than 100 units is going to make the most profit they can by selling up to 100 units. Now, when they sell beyond 100 units, that's where it starts to become questionable. Of course, as they sell more than 100 units, the price is going up, okay, the price is going down, but the number of units they sell is actually going up. Okay, so again, this price is probably the most difficult thing to get, but how much do we charge per unit? Well, if we sell over 100 units, $90 minus 10 cents for every unit beyond 100. So if you sold 105 units, I would subtract 100 from that. So I've sold 5 units in excess of 100. I would multiply that by 10 cents, and I would subtract that amount from $90. So if I sold 105 units, I would take 5 times 10, 50 cents or 10 cents, and I would subtract that. So I'd get $89.50 per unit. Okay, so it's the most complicated part of this problem. But take that price times this quantity, and I get the total revenue. Now, how much does it cost them to produce these units? Well, that's the easiest part in this problem. They say it's $60 per unit to produce. Okay, so 60 times X, that's the cost that the company has to spend to produce these units of the digital audio player. So the profit function is going to be, and we can multiply this all out now, it's x times, let's see, if I distribute this, it looks like it's going to be 100 minus 0.1x minus 60x. I'm just kind of simplifying right now. P of x is going to be negative 0.1 x squared plus 40x. Okay, so this is the profit they'll make from selling x units when x is above 100. Okay, well now we've got the profit function, and that's definitely the it's easy from here. This is the hardest thing to wrap your head around, getting that price per unit. It gets a little complicated because they told us something changes when we sell over 100. Okay, so how many units over 100 do we want to sell? Well, that's the question we can answer now. If we look for the critical numbers of this function, we just take the derivative and we get, it's going to be negative 0.2 times x plus 40. Okay, that's our derivative. We set it equal to 0. Okay, looking for those critical numbers. And it looks like we'll get 0.2x equals 40. Just add the negative 0.2x to the other side. X equals 40 over 0.2, which is 200. Okay. So when we sell 200 units, we have a critical number here. Is that the value of x that maximizes profit? Well, if the second derivative of profit is negative, it will be. Okay. Of course, the second derivative of profit is negative 0.2. So when I plug 200 in for x, of course it's still negative. So we have a critical number. The second derivative is going to be negative at that critical number. So we know that profit will be maximized when we sell 200 units. Now, in fact, I think that's all they ask for. They say just find the largest order we should allow to maximize profit. Well, it's going to be 200 then. When x is 200, profit is maximized.